Good morning, it's Thursday, March 19th, 2025. This is the Daily Dispatch. On a recent Tuesday night, the real action at the Alamo Drafthouse in downtown Brooklyn wasn't on the silver screen, but on the streets outside. 24 Alamo workers, voices echoing down Fulton Street, chanted, "Hey, hey, ho, ho, don't go to the Alamo," and corporate greed has got to go. This strike, led by NYC Alamo United under UAW Local 2179, erupted on February 21st in response to layoffs at the dine-in theater chain. But this isn't an isolated incident. It's part of a broader labor movement sweeping through New York's cinemas. Since 2020, workers at 7 theaters, including Film at Lincoln Center, Anthology Film Archives, Cinema Village, Film Forum, Alamo's Lower Manhattan location, and Nighthawk Cinema's Prospect Park branch, have unionized with UAW Locals 2179 or 2110. These unions are fighting for livable wages, adequate staffing, and enhanced safety standards. This surge reflects a growing pro-labor sentiment among New York's young, left-leaning service employees, signaling potential industry-wide changes. Approximately 300 workers across 2 Alamo theaters voted to unionize in 2023, driven by chronic understaffing and health and safety concerns. At Nighthawk Cinema, similar issues peaked during the Barbenheimer week of July 2023. While management celebrated a box office boom, workers felt overworked and underpaid. Ben Sepanek, a 26-year-old runner at the Park Slope Dine-In Cinema, recalled, "The theater is making so much money, but the employees aren't really seeing any of that." When staff suggested bonuses, management reportedly laughed, fueling the unionization drive. These young workers are turning to organized labor at a time when union approval rates are at their highest since the 1960s. They see themselves as part of a new union lineage. Despite the industry's financial challenges, domestic box office revenues in 2024 were nearly 24% lower below the pre-COVID levels. Workers argue that investing in staff, though, is crucial. But frankly, management's financial concerns are dismissive. The idea that you can get to pre-COVID profit levels is a fantasy. 1 million people died. A lot of people are permanently disabled. And a lot of people just simply don't go out anymore. And the unionization efforts are yielding results. UAW 2110 secured contracts at Film at Lincoln Center, Film Forum, and Anthology Film Archives. Organizers noted that the striking workers at the Alamo had a productive bargaining session recently, maintaining pressure for their first collective bargaining agreement. This momentum is inspiring workers elsewhere as well. Employees at Alamo's Staten Island location are organizing, and conditions at non-union theaters in New York remain poor, with whispers of potential union activity spreading. These workers view their struggle as part of a broader labor movement. Cinemas in New York can be described as a microcosm of this new labor movement, highlighting a rise in class solidarity across industries, led by young people. Unions aren't relics of the past, but vital tools for improving modern workplaces. Here at the Bull Moose Network, we stand in solidarity with the cinema workers. Their fight underscores a broader awakening among young workers across industries, challenging traditional labor dynamics and advocating for fair treatment and respect in the workplace. On the green jobs news front, New York City has set an ambitious goal to create 400,000 green jobs by 2040 as part of its strategy to slash carbon emissions. However, a recent report by the Center for an Urban Future reveals that the path for this green utopia is littered with obstacles. In 2023, there were only 2,184 job postings for core green positions, roles directly involved in reducing emissions. This figure pales in comparison to the job growth in sectors like healthcare, tech, and finance. The report highlights that much of the growth in green jobs has occurred in the peripheral sectors, such as architecture, engineering, and academia. And while these areas saw a nearly 13% increase since 2019, the number of green jobs actually declined between 2022 and 2023. One significant hurdle is the sluggish implementation of Local Law 97, or LL 97, which was enacted in 2019 and mandates that most buildings over 25,000 square feet meet new greenhouse gas emissions limits starting in 2024, with stricter limits coming into effect in 2030. The law aims to reduce emissions by the city's largest buildings by 40% by 2030, and to achieve net zero emissions by 2050. However, the slow adoption of LL 97 has stymied the potential boom for green jobs. Since 2017, only 2,021 permits for new HVAC systems have been filed with the Department of Buildings, a drop in the bucket considering the thousands of buildings that need retrofitting. The financial burden of these retrofits is another roadblock. With office vacancies soaring due to the rise of hybrid and remote work, property owners are hesitant to invest in costly upgrades. Retrofitting a 150,000 square foot office building can cost between $2 million and $3.5 million. An executive at the Real Estate Board of New York noted that to meet LL 97's targets, approximately 20,000 buildings need electrification in the next 10 to 15 years. Yet currently, only about 10 buildings are electrified annually. Compounding these issues is a shortage of skilled labor. In 2023, there were 25,121 HVAC installers and electricians, but only 28,348 job openings in those fields, indicating a significant gap. The general manager of CoolSys Energy Design emphasized that the scarcity of HVAC technicians is a major bottleneck in the push for building electrification. Additionally, over 40% of construction and building inspectors are aged 55 or older, suggesting a looming wave of retirements that could exacerbate the workforce shortage. While there has been a 64% increase in compositing jobs over the past 3 years, these positions were jeopardized by budget cuts in 2023. Although funding was eventually restored, the incident underscores the precarious nature of green job initiatives. Moreover, despite numerous training programs aiming to prepare workers for the green economy, only about 7,900 New Yorkers have participated, indicating a need for more expansive and accessible training opportunities. To bridge these gaps, the Center for an Urban Future recommends that the city provide grants for training programs targeting the shortage of HVAC technicians and electricians. They also suggest that the City University of New York retrofit its 300 aging buildings, involving students in the process to provide a hands-on experience. Notably, a report by the Economic Development Corporation projects that most green jobs will involve expanding green skills within existing roles, with only 75,000 being entirely new positions. This highlights the necessity of upskilling current workers, such as training building superintendents in boiler system emissions and monitoring solar battery maintenance. So, while New York City's vision of a thriving green economy is commendable, realizing it requires overcoming significant challenges, addressing regulatory delays, financial constraints, and workforce shortages, which are crucial to unblocking the full potential of green job growth and steering the city toward a sustainable future and a potential model for the rest of the country. Here's hoping they actually get to it. That's the Daily Dispatch for the day. Eyes open, voices loud.